song. Thank you all. Oh, we will not go into a second song. No, we are one song and we are done. So welcome everyone to tonight's Sex and Relationship Chat. I am your host, Coach K, otherwise known as Kanya. I'm not even in here. Tonight on our Sex and Relationship Chat, we are talking about 8 things that let you know that you are your child's superhero. Sometimes that can be quite scary to hear or to know, but hey Natasha, hey Tiffany, thank you for joining us tonight. So as we go through every single night, I am going to read through all 8, then I'll go back and we will discuss them in great detail with me, just encouraging everyone who would like to be an interactive part of the discussion to, if you're on Clubhouse, raise your hand, come on up. If you are on Facebook or Instagram, drop your comments and questions in the chat box and I'll be more than happy to answer them. So for those who do not know me, my name is Kanya, but you can simply call me Coach K. I am your certified clinical sexologist with a focus on guiding women on a path of understanding their value, worth, and setting personal boundaries. And I do this through self-love, accountability, and owning your sexuality. Why? Because when we realize how powerful our sexuality is, we show up in the world differently. We walk, talk, all kinds of things differently. And that is my goal. Welcome here on Instagram. Thank you for joining us. So every single week, right here at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have this sex and relationship chat, and I talk about all things life, love, and intimacy. And I think tonight's discussion is a fun one because it has something to do with the children. So here are 8 things that makes you your child's superhero. Number 1, you are a protector. Number 2, you are a provider. Number 3, you are a magician. Number 4, you are brave. Number 5, you are a teacher. Number 6, you are a builder. Number 7, you are a comforter. And number 8, you are a life giver. Now, I'm pretty sure that out of all of these that I named off, they seem pretty self-explanatory, right? Well, not to everyone. And because of that, I am going to go back and I am going to talk about each one of these individually, with again welcoming you to add to the discussion or ask questions as you need to. I will be scanning all of the devices to make sure that I catch everyone. Welcome, Jacqueline. Thank you for joining us. So you are a protector. To a child, you are a true and utter protector. When you are with your children, I'm pretty sure for the most part, they feel like they will always be protected from anything. If you think about when you were younger and you were terrified or scared or there was a storm outside, you always wanted to go to your parents, right? You weren't looking to immediately call the police, hey, there's a storm outside, or, sometimes you do call grandma, but in your heart of hearts, your parent was your protector. And that's what you are to your children. A protector. We protect our children in different ways. We don't just protect them in a physical sense. Our goal as parents is to protect them in all senses. Their mental, their spiritual, their well-being. And in sometimes doing so, we can tend to overdo it a little bit. What does that look like? Well, we as parents do tend to have a way with anticipating what it is that our children may feel. And so we immediately want to block whatever's going to happen because we're protecting them. And we sometimes don't allow them to have the full feeling or the full experience of life. Nothing wrong with it? Yes, it is. what can happen is you don't allow your children to develop certain skills that they may need ongoing. And that's not to say go and let your kids just get hit by baseballs and run out into traffic or get their heart broke 50,000 times. But as the protector to a child, a lot of times you just being there while they're going through whatever it is that they're going through, and they know that you are the person that's going to have them should something go wrong, sometimes that is enough. So as a protector, you want to think about all aspects. A protector is not necessarily the person that's going to block everything that's happening versus being available to be a support in the midst of whatever it is that the child may be going through. So continue to be that protector. And I will say, I am speaking on the level that I am aware of. I know that there are some parents who may not be the traditional protector or any of the things that I listed off. So as I'm speaking through each, I want you to think not as what you may have necessarily experienced versus me speaking on a general term. Anytime that I am doing my rooms, I'm usually speaking on a general term because I am not in everyone's homes and I'm not able to dictate exactly what is going on or what may have happened. So I just want to put that out there. But also in a protective, yes, be the protector. Also in a protective frame of mind. There may have been some things that you felt like as a child that your parent didn't protect you, but I can assure you that they did what was in their best frame of mind at that time, where maybe today they look back and say, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But all in all, we are a child's protector. That is how they see us. They feel totally invincible when we're around. And that's what makes you their superhero. So number 2 is the provider. You are the provider. To a child, you give them everything that they need. And honestly, you do. You may not always give them everything that they want, but as a provider, you're going to ensure they have all the things that they need. So when a child throws a complete tantrum because you did not purchase this toy over here, and you start to get this overwhelming feeling of guilt, stop and breathe and be okay knowing that that was a want and not a need. And that it is okay as a provider to focus on the things that are needed with the things that are wanted being a perk or a bonus. Because what I do know is to a child, having a nice warm bed to sleep in the winter, or a cool house to sleep in the summer, or having shoes that don't have holes in them, or having a good meal. You may can't cook, but it's a meal. So to them, it's the best meal in the whole wide world. As you get older, you look back and you think of some of the things you ate, and it's like, oh gosh, that was disgusting. But at the time, your parents were your providers, so they provided you with everything. If you really think back on it, you were provided a roof over your head. You were provided with love. You were provided with the opportunity to go to school. There are some children who their parents did not send them to school, or were not able to send them to school, or whatever circumstances they couldn't do that. So just knowing that on the bare minimum basis, you are the child's provider. And trust me, as a former child, and actually I'm still a current child, I understand that my mother was absolutely a provider for me and my sister. We may not have gotten everything we wanted, but we absolutely have everything. We had everything we needed, starting with just love, because that's definitely what we all want as children. We want to feel it. We don't just want to be given things. As a provider, you want your child to feel as though no matter what's going on in the world, that they're being provided with a care and a love, because material things can be thrown away. When you get mad, sometimes you do throw them away. But we definitely want to feel that love. So you are a provider. So this number 3 is a funny one to me, because in my world and in my sister's world, this was my mom a million percent. So number 3 is you are a magician. When I tell you that to a child, you make everything happen, you really do. You have to think of the simpleness of a child's mind. It was one Christmas, and we were older, I think maybe 10-ish years old. And we were old enough, me and my sister were old enough to recognize that we didn't have a whole lot of money. You know, we couldn't get everything we wanted. We had everything we needed. We were in a nice home. We had nice clothes. We ate every single night. But we knew that we didn't have a whole lot of money. And so we went to sleep on Christmas Eve. And listen, when I tell you that we were at the age where we was trying to believe that it was no Santa Claus no more, we was like, oh yeah, ain't no Santa Claus. When we woke up on Christmas morning, and it was a whole bunch of stuff to include. Now, mind you, this is 1989, 90. So, aging myself a little bit. To include a full-blown computer. I was like, oh my gosh. Our mom is just so, there has to be a Santa Claus. There has to be a Santa Claus. So, she made this magic happen. And to your child, that's what you are. You are a magician. You just make things happen. You may hear them talk about things, and boom, you have it there for them. You may know that, like say there's a roadblock ahead, and you have a 5-year-old in the back seat, and they know that there's a whole bunch of traffic. And maybe you know the area. So you maneuver around the traffic, and then you're on the road rolling. Oh my gracious, to that child, you just made magic happen. So to your child, you are absolutely a magician. You simply make things happen. Number 4, you're brave. I'm not talking about brave in the sense of that protective piece that I talked about in number 1. To a child, a parent is super brave. It seems like parents withstand any and everything to ensure that their child has the best life that they need, want, and desire. You're brave against the darkness, where a child is maybe terrified of the dark. As a parent, you get up and you just walk through the hallways in darkness. It's like, oh my gosh, this parent of mine is just amazing. They just walk through the house and it's dark outside. Dark inside. So you are one of the bravest people that child has ever seen, because they're in the house with you. They maybe have seen scary movies where things happen, and they know that, if that was my parent, they will be able to stand up to whatever. You're brave, and you drive this big car. To a child, you're driving this big old car. So all of these things that our children see that we really do take for granted, we have to realize that makes us our children's superhero. We brave through so many things. There are nights that you want to cry because whatever's going on, but you don't let the child see. You just stand in it. You may get an angry phone call, and you work through it, and your child just sees, hey, Jocelyn, thanks for joining. Your child just sees that you're braving through all of these things. There's this, bad winter storm out. You get in the car and you just drive through the snow. Oh my gosh, how brave are you? Your child is watching you brave through all of these things. So while we get super conscious of the things that we are not doing, we really have to think about the mind of a child, and that is what makes us their superhero. So number 5 is you are a teacher. This is a huge one as a parent. This is probably, out of all of them that I named, I think this one carries the most weight. And it carries the most weight because when I say you are a teacher, I'm saying to you that every single thing that you do and say is what that child is learning. And whether it be positive or negative, they're learning it. But as a teacher, when you're able to answer a question for your child, oh my gosh, you're amazing. That child is like, my parent knows everything. And they would even go around and they would probably be happy to tell somebody, oh yeah, my mom knows everything. I asked a question and she just knew it. 1 times 1, I'm thinking about maybe a first grader or something. Or who invented this thing, or how many planets there are in the sky. You're a teacher. And if you think about when children first go to school, they're in such awe with teachers. You're that every single day. So your child looks to you as that superhero because you do superhero things that you don't think about. You're teaching them. When you're in the kitchen cooking and you say, hey, give me the 1/4 cup. Oh my gosh, how fancy did you just sound to that kid? 1/4 cup. And you guys are following the directions on the box and you're cutting these things. I'm going to cut them into squares, or we're going to cut them into triangles, or whatever it is. Every single word that you're saying out of your mouth, you are teaching your child. This is what makes you your child's superhero. And I haven't even named you doing anything amazing yet, have I? No. These are everyday things that we as parents have to remember that we do, that our child watches, and they're super amazed with you. And yes, they are. Whether it's the 14-year-old that gives you the eye roll or the side eye, trust me, they still think you're hell of amazing. They still think that you're a superhero. Why? Because you're doing all of these things I just listed, plus the 3 more that I'm going to talk about. So you absolutely are your child's teacher. Everything that you do, you may not tell them, but they're mimicking you. When they start to walk, they were mimicking you. When they begin to talk, they were mimicking you. When they start doing some ridiculous thing or saying some things that they probably shouldn't be saying out in public, they're mimicking you. You're the teacher. So when you look around, everybody like, oh, where'd they get that from? You parents, you did it. And it's okay. You're still the superhero. To your child, you are the most amazing thing in the whole wide world. You're the teacher. So that's probably the only one of all 8 that's like the most pressurous one, because that's like, if I cuss this person out across this counter because my order is wrong, what am I teaching my child? You could take it 2 ways. Either I'm teaching them that you stand up for what you want, or I'm teaching them the wrong thing. So I have a question here on Instagram. It says, I'm in high school and I'm planning on losing my virginity this year. Should I always carry a condom in my backpack or any surprises, or should I plan out like a sex date? So I'm pretty sure this may be somebody that's trolling on Instagram. But however, honestly, that is a good question, Mr. High Schooler. I will tell you this. If you're planning on having sex, I would say you need to talk to your parents ASAP before you do so they can give you more ins and outs. If you plan on sneaking and doing it anyway, absolutely carry condoms. I'm not telling you to go out to have sex, but what I am going to tell you is you absolutely should be talking to your parents about this. 1000%. So, going on to, okay. It's okay if you're, it's okay, but I do like the question. That was a very good question. I appreciate that question. But I would say talk to your parents about that, because it's more than just the physical act. And I love that you are wanting to be safe. So continue to do that practice as well. And they will talk to you about their different sizes of condoms. So, number 6, as a parent, you are a builder. No, I'm not saying that you go out here and you build houses and all this good stuff. You are a builder of things. If something needs to happen, say they got a little car in the box for Christmas, you build the car. We just put a grill together outside, me and my husband, and the children they were really enjoying us putting the grill together. They were like, oh my gosh, they got to watch us and interact with us. But you're also a builder of relationships. You're a builder of how they will interact and correspond and be with other people. And so just like I told you that number 5 was kind of the most pressurous thing as a teacher, a builder of as what you are, your children are watching how you interact with not just them, but with other people. And that's how they're going to gauge how they build relationships. So we definitely want to think about that. You know, this is old saying that if you want to see how someone is going to treat you in a relationship, look at the relationship between them and their parents. I believe this. I truly do believe it. You know, sometimes some relationships can be, more extreme than others. But if you take a 50-foot view, step back and take a 50-foot view of kind of the overall of how that relationship is, you can see how the communication is. You can see, their trust limits. You can see their responsibility. You can learn a lot from people based on that relationship they have with their parents. So as a parent, you have to remember that you're not just a builder of stuff, but you're a builder of how they will build relationships outside of the home. So be careful with how you talk to the child, where you help them to set their limits. Like this young man who had a very good question on Instagram. To me, that is a very good question. So I would say just in life, he probably knows how to speak to and build those relationships based on maybe the relationship he has with his parents. So I think that's an awesome thing. So just remember, when I say builder, I'm talking about a lot more than just, hey, we can go out here and put this physical thing together. A builder of all things. So number 7 is you are a comforter. When a child is in need of a hug, maybe they just need a kiss on the forehead. When they're walking across the street, they're going to hold your hand. That's you being a comforter to your child. In the arms of a parent, a child could feel like no wrong can be done. And the crazy thing is, whether you set out to do it or not, that child gives you that authority over them. They give you complete authority over their feelings and how you comfort them. They take pride in that. They absorb that in. When they may have had a nightmare and they come crawl into your bed or maybe snuggle up on the sofa with you and they just get underneath you, you comfort them. You didn't even have to do anything spectacular, but just be there and be their comforter. That's what makes you that superhero. Them having the safety net of knowing that whatever it is that they're going through, or what has happened to them, or what is happening to them, knowing that they can go to a parent to just soothe and comfort them in that moment, super helpful. Crazy as it seems, we don't think about this as adults. But when a child is standing at the curb to go across the street and their cars going every which way, they're, simple minded. They don't understand this whole thing. It's like, oh my gosh, this big world. and they're able to latch on to your hand and have that comfort of you walking with them, it ties all of those other ones I just said into place as being the comforter. That's what makes you that child's superhero. And so number 8 is you are a life giver. Without doing anything else, you are a life giver. You gave life to these little tiny people, and they're now yours. They're yours to protect, to provide for, to show magic to be brave for, to teach, to show how to build, to comfort. You are a life giver. And if you really think back on what a superhero is, whether it be the Captain Americas, the Superman, the Wonder Woman, the Batman and Robins, if you think about all of those superheroes, you as a parent should walk over to a mirror, look at yourself, and everything that you grew up knowing that those superheroes were, that's you. If you want to put a cape around your neck, knock yourself out. Clark Kent didn't always have a cape around his neck, but when he wanted to show out, he did. Every day that you wake up as a parent, you are a superhero. You wake up knowing that you're going to be a protector of your children. You go out every single day so that you can be a provider for your children. You listen and pay attention to what that child is asking about so that you can do magic and make things happen for your children. You keep a keen sense of all your senses of what's happening so that you continue to be brave for your children. You continue to have knowledge and share it so that you can always be a teacher for your children. You pay attention to how you treat them and what you do with them so that you can always be a builder for your children. You keep your arms open, your words responsible, so that you can always be a comforter to your children. And whether your children are here on earth or they are angels that are watching over us, you, parents, are life givers. Life givers are not always someone whose child transitioned out of their body via C-section or vaginal birth. Life givers are also the adopters that speak life, breathe life, give life to their children. That is what makes you, parents, superheroes. And the reason why I gave all of these examples, because I normally don't do 8 of anything, but I gave all of these because I understand how much pressure we as parents put on ourselves. And then when we do that, we in turn transfer that pressure onto our children. When the only thing that that child or children want from us is for us to just be. You don't have to be spectacular, wonderful, or great, or magnificent. You don't have to fly around the world. You don't have to buy the biggest boats. You don't have to have the biggest house. You don't have to do all of those things. Your child simply just wants you to be. A parent is a parent is a parent. When I look at some celebrity kids, while these adults are going crazy over their parents, they're like, oh, Cardi B, oh, LeBron James, oh my gosh, it's whoever. Look down at their child. All that child sees is that's my parent. They don't care that they're this mega superstar. They don't care that they have this huge house. All they care is that their parents, mom and dad, are there with them to comfort them, to protect them, to teach them, to provide for them, to give them magic, to build them, to comfort them, to give them life. So parents, if you're feeling pressure, if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to do these things, I have to make sure that my kid has what that kid, stop. You are your child's superhero from the moment you wake up to the time you go to sleep. And sometimes 3 times in their dream, depending on what they're dreaming about. You are that child's superhero. So I'm going to run through the 8 things that let you know that you are your child's superhero really quickly. And then we're going to close out the rooms unless anyone has any questions or comments that they would like to add. The 8 things that let you know that you are your child's superhero. It's number 1, you are a protector. Number 2, you are a provider. Number 3, you are a magician. You make stuff happen. Number 4, you are brave. Number 5, you are a teacher. Number 6, you are a builder. Number 7, you are a comforter. And number 8, you are a life giver. So I want you to take all 8 of those. Get a dry erase marker. You are doing everything right. I appreciate you for joining on. You are so welcome. You are doing everything right. Yes, you are. Write those 8 things on a mirror. Or write them on a piece of paper and keep them in your wallet. Write them down somewhere. And remind yourself as often as you have to. Especially during those times when things get really hectic and tough and you put so much pressure on yourself. Remind yourself, you are all of these things already. So you don't have to do anything else but just be. Don't let what's outside of your home drive you to think that you need to do anything outside of just be. Continue to be life givers to your children. If you're listening to this or you're going to watch the replay, go to them. I don't care if they're the 14-year-old that gives you the side eye. You go to your child and I want you to just give them a nice big hug And I want you to just say, thank you. They're going to not know what that is. But you thank them because they already know that you're amazing and they already appreciate you. So thank them for reminding you that you're already great and that you are a superhero. And you say to yourself, I'm going to continue to just be, because that's all they need of me. And then once you start to do that, remember I said that in my Instagram post, you might even get some time back. Once you start doing that, you will stop overdoing on them and start giving back to yourself. Ha ha. See what I did there? Because if you're able to give back to yourself, guess what? You're going to regurgitate it back out to those 8 things that you already are on a higher level within yourself. Because in order to be that superhero, you have to just be. And in order to be, you have to ensure that you're taking care of you. Parents, talking to you parents. Don't overcomplicate your child's life by thinking of what you should do, because you're already doing it. If you ever seen the movie, The Pursuit of Happiness, go watch the trailer if you haven't. That child didn't care that they went from hotel to hotel dragging around, that he didn't have a job, couldn't get this, couldn't get that. He was with his dad. And in his world, his dad was amazing. His dad did great things. His dad took him traveling. His dad took him seeing different things. His dad kept him clean, kept him fed. That's all he cared about. That kid didn't care about anything else, but he was with his dad. Start paying attention to those movies. Those children don't care about anything else. They know, number 1, no harm will come to them as long as that parent's around. Number 2, they're going to eat something. Parent may not eat nothing. Number 3, they're going to do magic. They're going to make stuff happen. And they're going to teach them a whole lot of things. Think back to this stuff that you hated, but that you learned by simply watching your parents. They might not even told you directly. You just watched them. Some of the things they had you do that you was like, this is so dumb. That you're like, I'm so glad I learned that. I'm so glad I know that. You're doing the same thing. So parents, just be. Okay? Just be. My name is Kanya, but you can call me Coach K. I am your life, love, and intimacy coach, aka certified sexologist, with the goal of guiding women on the path of understanding their value, worth, and personal boundaries. And I do that through self-love, accountability, and truly owning your sexuality. I want to thank each and every one of you who joined me this evening for tonight's sex and relationship chat. And I want to remind you that I am here every single Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, we are going to be talking about marriage takes more than love. This is going to be a good one. So make sure you set your calendars in. If you're not following me, make sure you start to follow me. Turn those notifications on so you know exactly what I'm going on. I appreciate you all for being a part of this. If you watch the replay, leave a comment. Let me know. Ask a question. And I will see you all next week. Good night, everybody.